Last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts, when he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings. So here's what came out of today's hearing. Number one, the government acknowledged that they offered Combs a plea deal. Combs acknowledged he has no interest in taking that. They're going to move forward with the trial. They also talked about the jury selection process, which one legal expert I spoke to said is probably the most important thing that you want to pay close attention to before the actual trial starts. And thirdly, we learned that Combs will be adding 2 new attorneys to his defense team. And just to recap, Combs, who is 55 years old, could spend the rest of his life behind bars if convicted on sex trafficking and racketeering. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
Opens tonight involving the case against Sean Diddy Combs, what he decided in court today, and what this now means, the move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, Sean Combs makes it official. He's rejecting the government's offer to plead guilty and spare himself the possibility of a prolonged term in prison. When asked if he turned down the offer, Combs answered, "Yes, I do, Your Honor," as he stood in a baggy beige jail uniform. Terms were not disclosed, but prosecutors did say a plea could result in a shorter sentence for Combs than if he's convicted. The decision guarantees Combs will face trial beginning just 4 days from now that will test whether one of music's most prolific figures used his power, wealth, and fame to sexually exploit both women and men for decades. Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering conspiracies, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution charges that accused him of coercing alleged victims into prolonged, drug-fueled sexual activity that he called freak-offs and threatening them in the...
A plea deal rejected 4 days before trial. Jay-Z's name surfacing in connection with multiple civil filings. Alleged prison phone calls with coded language circulating across every platform simultaneously. And a legal team that keeps getting smaller rather than larger as the trial date approaches. Each of these developments on its own would generate significant attention. All of them arriving in the same compressed window, with the same names appearing at every intersection, is what's driving a conversation that the entertainment industry has been unable to contain or redirect.
Top rap star is busted.
Jay-Z turned himself in tonight, and the cops started working on his rap sheet, accusing him of a stabbing at a trendy party.
Kimberly Richardson is at Midtown South right now. Kimberly.
Well, Rosanna, just a few hours ago, police here at Midtown South arrested Sean Carter, better known as Jay-Z. The rap star voluntarily turned himself in here at the precinct earlier this evening. Now, Carter is being held here in connection with that stabbing fight that erupted at the Kit Kat Club last night. But just a few moments ago, Carter's attorney had this to say.
He's not involved in this, period.
He was at the club?
That's my only comment. He wasn't involved in this.
So it was someone else that did the stabbing and the hitting?
I didn't say that. I said he was not involved in it.
Now, Slovis goes on to say that at no time was Jay-Z hiding from the police, that they were in touch with cops all day and that they're trying to resolve this as gentlemen. But as Mike Sheehan shows us, others say they've seen the dark side of Jay-Z.
I have my faults. You know, I'm not a person.
Diddy standing in that beige jail, uniform, and telling the judge, "Yes, I do, Your Honor," when asked if he was rejecting the government's offer, is one of those courtroom moments that generates instant and lasting analysis. Because a plea deal that could result in a shorter sentence than conviction, turned down 4 days before trial begins, is either the decision of a man who genuinely believes the government's case can't hold up in front of a jury, or the decision of a man who cannot afford to cooperate with prosecutors because of what cooperation would require him to say about other people. The terms weren't disclosed publicly, but the fact that prosecutors confirmed a deal was offered and Diddy confirmed he refused it is now part of the public record. Jury selection begins in 4 days. Whatever Diddy knows about whoever else was connected to his world, he is apparently prepared to let a jury decide his fate rather than tell it.
And a new twist in a high-profile lawsuit accuses rapper Jay-Z of raping a 13-year-old girl in 2000 alongside Sean Diddy Combs. The lawsuit, originally filed in October, was refiled today to include Jay-Z as a defendant. The anonymous accuser claims the assault occurred at an MTV Video Music Awards after-party. Jay-Z has denied the allegations in a statement on Roc Nation's Instagram, calling the accusations heinous and urging a criminal complaint be filed instead of a civil one. He also criticized the attorney behind the lawsuit, Tony Busby, accusing him of exploiting the case for personal gain.
The 1999 Kit Kat Club incident involving Jay-Z keeps getting pulled back into current conversations specifically because it exists as documented evidence of a moment when law enforcement and Jay-Z occupied the same courtroom, even if the resolution was a plea agreement that didn't result in prison time. The incident itself is historical record. Jay-Z voluntarily turned himself in. His attorney stated clearly he was not involved in the stabbing. The case resolved through a plea. What it provides in the current context is a reference point, a documented moment that people can point to when making broader arguments about Jay-Z's relationship with controversy and how that relationship has historically been managed.
Diddy Combs is facing new accusations of human trafficking as he awaits his federal trial. In a civil case filed in Florida April 1st, Joseph Manzaro alleges, according to court documents obtained by E! News, that he was drugged, transported against his will, and sexually maimed as a victim of a coercive and organized criminal enterprise facilitated by Combs and others back in 2015, and names celebs such as Beyonce, Jay-Z, and LeBron James as witnesses in the lawsuit. In his filing, Manzaro says the alleged events took place in April 2015. He states that he lost consciousness after feeling a, quote, greasy substance resembling Vaseline as he opened the front door to his home, after which he says he was transported to another residence, where an associate of Combs allegedly told him that the music mogul wanted him brought to a freak-off event. Manzaro alleges in the suit he was secretly transferred to the music producer's home through a concealed tunnel allegedly connected to Gloria Estefan and Emilio Estefan's Miami property. He alleges that upon regaining partial consciousness, he found himself inside a large party area upon information and belief that it was a birthday party for Combs' then 17-year-old son Christian Combs. There, he was allegedly forced to appear in a penis mask. The lawsuit states, Jay-Z and Beyonce Knowles Carter were seated in the room, and upon seeing Manzaro, Beyonce Knowles Carter asked, "What's this? What's this all about? Why is this half-naked white man with a penis mask standing here in front of me?" Manzaro alleges in the lawsuit that he was then forcibly paraded through multiple rooms filled with people who were jeering and taunting him.
High-profile individuals, including Jacob Arabo, Jay-Z, Gloria Estefan, LeBron James, and Beyonce Knowles Carter, are identified as witnesses due to their presence or knowledge of the events surrounding the freak-off orchestrated by defendant Diddy. Wow. And freak-off, of course, is something that we've heard many times before, both in Combs' criminal case and other civil cases, to describe these prolonged sexual episodes, usually with sex workers. But Manzaro is suing Sean Combs. He is suing a man named Eric Mejias. He is suing Brendan Paul, who's been described in another lawsuit as Sean Combs' drug mule, Emilio Estefan, who is married to pop superstar Gloria Estefan, and Adria English, who filed her own lawsuit against Sean Combs, claiming she too was a victim of sex trafficking. By the way, it's interesting he's not suing these other celebrities that I mentioned, like Jay-Z and Beyonce and Gloria Estefan, possibly because he doesn't believe their alleged liability amounted to a civil claim, but seems to want to call them as witnesses at a trial, although I have to imagine they will do everything in their power to quash any subpoena should this case progress, and we'll talk a little bit more about whether or not it.
Jay-Z has publicly responded to such accusations and has denied any involvement.
That alleged freak-off reportedly happened in 2015 at both Gloria and husband Emilio Estefan's Miami mansion and Diddy's. That's where a new accuser claims he was sexually assaulted and humiliated by Diddy, and he says Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Gloria all witnessed his abuse, but allegedly did nothing.
Yeah, let's skip over that.
Okay. I don't like it at all.
Gloria and Emilio denying the claims, telling ET there were no parties thrown at that property between 2012 and 2019. The couple says they have documents to back their denial and will provide them in court if necessary.
I could not believe what I was hearing.
God. As for Jay-Z, his rep tells ET he wasn't in Florida at that time to witness this incident. He was engaged in easily findable public activities that prove he was not at this event, adding, "This is more nonsense that erodes the trust in our justice system."
A lot of times people say things because they don't want to get themselves in a PR disaster. They can't be, write a check.
The new claims come months after a woman dropped a lawsuit against Jay-Z alleging he raped her.
The civil case that named Jay-Z alongside Diddy and allegations involving a minor at an MTV Video Music Awards afterparty generated one of Jay-Z's most forceful public responses in years. Roc Nation Instagram. The word, heinous. The suggestion that if the accuser believed what she was saying was true, she should file a criminal complaint rather than a civil one. The specific criticism of Tony Busby as an attorney exploiting the case for financial gain. Jay-Z has denied all allegations and no criminal charges have been filed. The case was subsequently withdrawn. But the public response itself, the force of it, the specific targeting of the attorney, became its own data point in the conversation about how this situation is being managed on multiple levels simultaneously. The Florida civil filing naming Beyoncé, Jay-Z, and LeBron James as witnesses rather than defendants is a legal distinction that matters enormously and gets lost in most coverage. Joseph Manzaro is suing Sean Combs and several others directly. The celebrities named are identified as witnesses, people allegedly present who could testify about what they observed. The attorney covering the case noted that Manzaro likely isn't suing Jay-Z and Beyoncé specifically because he doesn't believe their alleged presence at an event rises to the level of civil liability. That distinction between witness and defendant is the one that determines whether someone faces legal consequences or simply faces the reputational weight of having their name attached to a lawsuit. Jay-Z's representatives responded that he was not in Florida at the time the alleged events took place, and that his whereabouts are easily verifiable through his public activities during that period. The observation about the difference between Diddy's public operating style and Jay-Z's, one rambunctious and visible, one low-key and strategically distant, is the framework that keeps getting applied to explain why one man is sitting in federal detention while the other is still managing a billion-dollar enterprise. The argument isn't that they're identical in their behavior or their alleged actions. The argument is that operating quietly and operating innocently aren't the same thing. And the question of whether Jay-Z's carefully maintained distance from controversy over decades reflects genuine difference in conduct or simply a more effective management of how that conduct appears publicly is one that the current conversation has no official answer to. Jay-Z has denied all allegations. No criminal charges have been filed against him. Jaguar Wright's observation about Jay-Z's pattern, starting fires and then stepping back while others carry the water, is a specific, behavioral critique that exists separately from any legal allegation. It describes a management style, a way of operating in conflict that maintains plausible distance from consequences while still exerting influence over outcomes. Whether that description is accurate is something only the people who have been in rooms with Jay-Z can speak to directly. What it captures is the frustration of people who believe that the silence since Diddy's charges were brought isn't neutrality or discretion. It's a choice that has its own meaning. The alleged prison phone call, unverified, unconfirmed, circulating across social media before any official authentication, is operating in the same information space as everything else surrounding this case. The coded language around pizza boxes, the reference to someone named Jay, the instruction, not to forget about the list. Whether this recording is genuine is a question that only forensic analysis can answer definitively. What it represents in the public conversation is the ongoing question of whether Diddy, from inside MDC Brooklyn, has been attempting to communicate with people outside in ways that prosecutors already documented in their bail opposition filings. The three-way call routing through other inmates' phone accounts was officially confirmed by prosecutors. The specific content of any such calls beyond what prosecutors have disclosed is where confirmed fact ends and speculation begins. The hotel, surveillance footage of the Cassie Ventura assault, and the question of why it took so long to surface publicly when hotel security systems generate records that go somewhere the moment they exist, is a thread that people close to this situation have consistently pulled on. The observation that someone with Diddy's resources and relationships likely had connections capable of managing what happened to certain footage is the kind of allegation that can't be proven through public records alone. What can be confirmed is that the footage existed, that it captured something that Diddy himself was subsequently recorded acknowledging in an apology, and that CNN's decision to publish it came years after the event it documented. How it got from a hotel security system to CNN and what happened to it in between remains part of the broader set of unanswered questions surrounding this case. Eric Adams being indicted as New York City's sitting mayor in a window of time overlapping closely with the federal case against Diddy is the data point that people constructing the broadest possible picture keep returning to. Adams had publicly interacted with Diddy. Diddy had received official recognition from the city. Two people who moved in overlapping circles of New York power are now both navigating serious federal legal situations. Whether those two situations are connected in any evidentiary way is something the public record does not currently confirm. What they share is the observation that power in New York's entertainment and political world operated through specific relationships and specific access that is now being examined from multiple directions simultaneously. The Grammy count argument, 1 Grammy before the marriage, 17 or 18 since, keeps returning to this conversation not because it constitutes evidence of anything beyond a successful entertainment career and a significant personal partnership, but because it represents the most visible data point for a broader argument about how Jay-Z's public transformation from street rapper to billionaire family man changed his relationship with the institutional machinery that determines who gets celebrated and who gets scrutinized. Whether that transformation reflects genuine evolution, strategic brand management, or something more complicated that the Diddy situation is now forcing into sharper focus, that question is the one that sits underneath every conversation where his name and Diddy's name appear in the same sentence. An attorney withdrawing from representation because under no circumstances can he continue to effectively serve as counsel, with the specific invocation of ABA professional standards without any further explanation, is the kind of departure that generates immediate and intense speculation in legal circles. Attorney-client privilege protects the reasons he can't share publicly. What the public can observe is that someone who had professional knowledge of this case from the inside made a judgment that continuing was incompatible with his ethical obligations as a lawyer. The Grubman law firm parting ways with Combs after more than 20 years, reportedly following pressure from Lady Gaga, represents a different kind of departure but points toward the same conclusion that the people closest to this situation are calculating that proximity to Diddy has become professionally and reputationally untenable in ways that weren't true a year ago. Jury selection beginning May 5th. Cassie Ventura expected to testify under her own name. The judge denying the defense's request for a 2-month delay. Documentary interview outtakes ordered to be provided to the defense. 4 law firms now representing Combs. And Diddy getting a moment at the end of the hearing to look toward his family and say, "I love you and we're good." That last detail is the most human moment in a proceeding that has otherwise been consumed by legal motions, evidentiary disputes, and the ongoing question of what the freak-off tapes will reveal when they're shown to a jury in open court. Whether more names surface during testimony, whether the evidence about other people's involvement becomes part of the public record through this trial, whether Jay-Z's name moves from civil allegation territory into something with different legal weight, all of that remains ahead. What is settled is that the trial is happening, the jury will see the tapes, and the outcome of this proceeding will have consequences that extend well beyond the one man standing in a beige jail uniform, telling a judge he has no interest in making a deal.